머리 모jo radio. We love Moriocho.
I just feel like one thing that also needs to be said, and this isn't to anybody specific, but pretty much any and everyone, especially the people who need to hear it. It's okay to wash your ass. I promise you, it won't make you gay. And if it does, it didn't.
This is a stupid dope mix.
Night studies have ended, and So Ye-ran is on the way home. But as she walks along nervously, the reason for her sweaty forehead suddenly appears. Park Han-sol appears, asking what Ye-ran did with the bank book. Ye-ran attempts to feign ignorance, but Han-sol isn't buying it. She says she's been too nice to Ye-ran lately, which is wild, since she just threatened to slap the shit out of her like a week ago just for talking to her. Han-sol asks Ye-ran if she should just let them do whatever they want with Ye-ran when they get their hands on her. Ye-ran seems confused, but I think we know what she means. Han-sol tells her to walk into an alley. Ye-ran tries to tell Han-sol that she has to go study, but Han-sol replies by asking if it looks like she cares. Ye-ran then says, never mind. Just as it's about to get bad for Ye-ran, a familiar face appears. Han-sol turns to see Tae Hyun standing behind her, towering over her, in fact. She asks who he is, but he doesn't answer. He just replies that she's a feisty one. He looks a little interested in her. I get it. Mean girls are my type too.
Listen, if you happen to know that woman, give me your number.
Or twisted like that. She asks if he plans on hitting her, but he says that as long as she doesn't hit Ye-ran, he won't interfere. She glares at him and asks Ye-ran who he is. Ye-ran tells Han-sol that he's Who's friend, which seems to pique Han-sol's curiosity. When did Who have friends like this? Well, he didn't. Speaking of Who, we find that Kang Hyuk has returned home to find his front door unlocked. As he steps inside, he notices that nothing has been taken, but the fact that his picture seems to be slightly off-frame does catch his attention. It doesn't take long for him to figure out who it was, and he realizes things are coming to a close. Things will be quiet over the weekend, with everyone locked in a stalemate. No one makes a move. Everyone's waiting for that big day. On the next school day, Hyuk is approached by Ye-ran as they walk to school. She tells him that Han-sol has something to say to him, and to go see her at the incineration plant. Over at the incineration plant, Han-sol is waiting for Hyuk. When he approaches, she slaps the glasses right off his face, then shouts at him for not talking to her when he found the account book. Hyuk is completely confused, and you probably might be too. She then asks what he did with the book, but he replies by asking her what's going on and why she's acting like they're friends. Now she's confused as well. And maybe that's why she does this? Han-sol grabs Who by his hair and pulls him in for a kiss? When he doesn't react, Han-sol is surprised. Apparently Who would always turn red when she kissed him. He tells her that he doesn't remember anything, and she asks if he also forgot that they were dating last year. He's now confused in a different way, asking himself if Who was always into girls like her. It's not really surprising. Fairly easy for a timid man to pick up a wild girl. Han-sol then asks who gave the bank book to. He tells her the police, and she isn't surprised. He asks why she wants to know, and she says it's because she left it for him to find. And then she drops the bomb on him. The other is the principal, which means the one who told Tae Hyun about the letter would have to be him. If Who had spoken to Han Sol first, he would have known not to submit the letter. So, the principal is not only complicit in the everyday crimes of this organization, but he's also the one who gave up Who to the Circle, as opposed to just possibly keeping his fucking mouth shut, at the very least. But, here we are. Now Hyuk knows the truth. Park Han-sol continues to explain to Kang-hoo that she and Lee Tae-hyun are the only ones who knew the identity of the other, and so she couldn't tell Who because then Tae-hyun would know that she was the one who did it. As she picks up his glasses, she says that she had no idea that he would turn it in with the letter without talking to her first. Who was weak when it came down to fighting, but his willpower was unbreakable. It's no surprise that he might do something headstrong. He's similar to Hyuk in that way, but he's a much kinder person. He didn't want to stand by and wait to see what would happen as his classmates were bullied and extorted. He stepped up despite the fact that he couldn't win any kind of fight and put his own life on the line. Now his brother has to do the same to honor his memory. However, all of that is sidelined by Kang Hyuk, who simply has to know why Han Sol was dating his brother. Hyuk has never had a girlfriend, so this is probably confusing to him. But Han Sol explains that he was always someone who had himself together, reserved and smart. Those are things she likes in a guy. She also explains, as she hands his glasses back to him, that he was the reason she joined the literature club. Who comments on her forthrightness, and she asks if it would be better if she acted all shy like Ye-ron, and then asks if that's what he's really into, a look of clear jealousy on her face. Now we know why she treats Ye-ron the way she does, and when Who asks her why she's bothering Ye-ron so much, she flat out says that it is. She says it was just jealousy, because of how Ye-ron would act with Who around her. This also explains why Ye-ron would ask Who if Han Sol knew who the other was. It seems those two were aware of the other's place in Who's life. Having concluded that Han Sol was the one who was working with Who last year, he asks Han Sol if she called him here just to tell him that, but she says it's not. Then tells him that Cho Hyun-sung and Lee Se-won are only pretending to be on his side. But when his expression doesn't change, she seems surprised. He says that he had already had his doubts. She then tells him that she also has the diary that the two were holding from last year. Hyuk says, why does she have it? And she says that it was originally a couple's diary. After a moment of surprise, Hyuk asks why she's telling him them after 3 weeks. And she tells him it's because he told her not to act first. She was keeping her cool, playing along. And I guess that's why she set up Ye-ron last night. Okay. Yeah. I guess if it's between her and Ye-ron, she's going to pick herself every time. If she doesn't report on Ye-ron's movements or her conversation or meeting with Who, then one of the other spies in class will absolutely pick up on it and tell Tae Hyun. She has no choice, really. We then flash back to Who telling Han Sol not to make any sudden moves. Her job is to stick by Tae Hyun's side and convince him that she's completely on his side. She clearly did her job. Back in the moment, the bell rings for class to start. She asks Who if he wants his diary. He says it would be nice to have it, and she tells him that she'll hand it over to the police, since that's his style. Han Sol clearly holds a grudge. As he begins to respond, she suddenly shouts at him not to come to school, then explains that the day it rains is the day they plan to get Who. She says to leave it to the police and don't come to school. She was planning on leaving early anyway. But she has to know by now. He's not the type to just listen. As they exit, Hyun-sung emerges from the trash room by the incineration plant. He heard everything and immediately reports to Tae Hyun about what he heard. Each man has had their plans exposed. That very afternoon, a heavy rainfall begins. Some might call it blood rain. Just me? I'm just me. I'm only calling it that. You'll understand. Tae Hyun has heard everything from Hyun-sung as they stand under their umbrellas, discussing things in the pouring rain. Hyun-sung says that women are known to tear up circles and turn their backs on their families, so you can't trust them. Tae Hyun thinks back to the moment he told Han Sol what happens to girls who cross them, and Han Sol is no exception. As Hyun Sung remarks that he can't understand why Han Sol could be interested in someone like Who, Tae Hyun says he has no interest in her taste in men. An answer given with a clear head, as usual. He isn't distracted by them. They're easily accessible, after all. He asks Hyun Sung if he cleaned out the incineration plant, which is why he was there to begin with, interestingly enough. Hyun Sung says he has, and that he thinks it will be pretty scary, asking Tae Hyun if he wants to see. Tae Hyun commends him and tells him to get things started and to have Who come up to the roof. Note that he hasn't told Hyun Sung who really is. While Hyun Sung does a lot of dirty work for Tae Hyun, he's still just a henchman, not one of his trusted subordinates, nor a close friend. Regardless of that, Hyun Sung looks excited. He seems to enjoy these dirty jobs, most of all. You need guys like this in your criminal group. Think Tig from Sons of Anarchy. Though to be honest, most guys in this organization seem like they'd be willing to do that sort of thing. Maybe Hyun Sung is just the best at it. In Class 2-2, Park Han arrives to give a message to Kang Ho. He tells him that Hyun Sung says that they have been set for 7 p.m. tonight. And he also asks him to go to the rooftops in a bit. He says that Hyun Sung had the rooftops open so he could act like he was teaching Who a lesson. But he says that there's something he wants to discuss. It seems that Han hasn't been told anything about the situation changing. They've kept him fully in the dark and on the outside. Han may not know it, but he's no longer a member of the circle. Hyuk arrives on the rooftop at 4:30 p.m. It's not Hyun Sung waiting for him, but the three-man group. Tae Hyun is the first to speak, telling him that the cat and mouse game will be over soon. Who wants to know what he wants? Tae Hyun then says he has a proposal for him, as he refers to him by his real name, Kang Hyuk. Tae Hyun is expecting Hyuk to be surprised by the name drop. But instead, Hyuk lets Tae Hyun know that he already knew it was Tae Hyun who came into his house. When Tae Hyun asks how, Hyuk tells him that the picture frame was slightly tilted. Tae Hyun says that he was raised like a prince, so he doesn't pay attention to such things. Hyuk asks about his offer, asking if it's an offer to go one-on-one on the spot. That's what Hyuk is looking for. Tae Hyun is amused by this, asking Hyuk if it wasn't his goal to get rid of the circle. But Hyuk says it'll fall apart once he's gone. Tae Hyun says that even though there's no way he would lose to Hyuk, the circle would continue to exist through the management he himself established. He then tells Hyuk that he's willing to give him a chance, since he's Dokgo, and offers him a place within the circle. Hyuk is silent. Tae Hyun continues, telling Hyuk that there's no one to take over once he graduates. Jun Hong-soo, first among the second years, doesn't seem cut for the job. Tae Hyun wants Hyuk to wire him part of the money he collects when he takes over, and he'll show him how to run the circle, and make more than 5 million won a month. This irritates Hyuk, which amuses Tae Hyun. Tae Hyun then goes into a monologue about his life. His 4th grade teacher was similar to the principal, a greedy and corrupt staff member. She loved money, but Tae Hyun's parents wouldn't give her any. Because of this, she would single him out and give him harsher punishments than the other kids. This caused Tae Hyun to lash out and fight with other kids, which he was good at. But this caused the school to call his parents to come in. But his father, a judge at the time, turned the tables on the school, using the power and connections of his career to make sure his son has no more problems from school staff. When he asked his father if he used money to fix things, his father explains that once you have real power, no one can touch you. And being a judge means being able to legally beat down anyone in your way. He then tells Tae Hyun that he too should gain real power. Tae Hyun's father is a ruthless man who understands the power that comes from being in a high position in society. Petty fights and crime aren't things he wants to be involved with, and he pushes his son in the same direction. Hyuk asks Tae Hyun if he created the circle to gain real power. He replies that he'll be the top gun at this school, at the very least. He follows up by saying that even if he tells people he brings in 54 million won a month, no one believes him. He says that losers have a hard time understanding something that's out of their reach. I don't know if that makes them losers, but this is something I find true of people. They simply don't understand things that they haven't experienced and lack the empathy to consider it. Thinking outside of their own head, their own body, their own shoes, it becomes impossible for some people. They get caught up and only care about their own struggles, their own trials and tribulations. And they feel like this is more important than anything that anyone else has going on. But sometimes your biggest problem is nothing but a fucking minor inconvenience to other people. So stop whining. But Hyuk says that this is true of Tae Hyun too, saying that he'll become nothing but a delivery boy after graduation, which is a wild statement because that's what his friend does. Probably shouldn't be looking down on that job. Tae Hyun counters that everyone says that about delinquents, but that it's just something people say to make themselves feel better. Absolutely. Without thinking that losers in life, in general, will fall behind in the real world. And he's right. You never know what kind of asshole the guy who works in accounting used to be back in the day. And there are only so many people with the talent or ability to rise above their predetermined station. Such is destiny, if you accept it. Tae Hyun says more things to reiterate his point, but it's all meaningless. Hyuk was never the kind of person to go for it anyway, but Tae Hyun makes it a little more personal, saying that he'll make a spot for Hyuk to look down on other people, bringing up the fact that he's a middle school dropout who probably won't be able to hold a job. Tae Hyun states that their society is very judgmental about academic pursuit, and that with Hyuk's record, he won't be able to be anything more than a construction worker like his father. Hyuk's grip on his umbrella tightens at the mention of his father. Then Tae Hyun asks if Hyuk is still living off the restitution from his family. The umbrella handle cracks as Hyuk's expression intensifies. The grip he's holding on that umbrella is the one he wants to put on Tae Hyun's neck right now. He wants to go right now. And there's no doubt he would come out on top, even with the three-man group there. He even says as much. He tells Tae Hyun that he can lay all of them out right there, but that'll give him a chance to repent. Tae Hyun just cackles as Hyuk continues, asking Tae Hyun if he thinks he's right about everything, telling him he lives his life thinking the world made him the way he is. This sets Tae Hyun off. And Hyuk finishes by telling Tae Hyun that no matter how people may look to him, he holds no right to place himself above them. I try to keep that in mind, but it really doesn't work. Tae Hyun has no response, and Hyuk follows up by reminding him that in France, a revolution began with the king and queen being executed by the citizens. Tells Tae Hyun that he might think he's in a position where he can't be touched, but to just wait. Hyuk will drag him down. And Hyuk then says, "We're having a great time spending the 40 million won. Your family gave us this restitution for killing my father. Motherfucker!" Hyuk leaves without another word. Pal Young, who was silent the whole time, asked Tae Hyun why he called Hyuk here. Tae Hyun wanted to see where they both stood before things began. He says it's time to get things started. Sung Chul and Tae Hyun suddenly receive text messages. What's happening now? Over in the girls' building, Class 3-8, Cho Hyun-sung is looking for Han-sol, but he finds out that she went home early. He then turns his attention toward Ye-ran. When the girl points out Ye-ran, he doesn't hesitate. He tells her to come with him, and when she tries to play dumb, he slaps her out of her chair and stomps on. Then he grabs her by the hair and drags her off. This is real Diddy behavior. Nearby girls are shocked, but silent, as Ye-ran screams to be let go. They already know there's nothing they can do, assuming the thought even crossed their minds. Elsewhere, Park Han-sol has met with Inspector Park Kwang-min. She hands off the diary with all the information in it, and tells the inspector that there's going to be a huge fight. Over on the rooftop, Ko Sung-chol has brought Park Han to the rooftops to meet with Lee Tae Hyun. Tae Hyun doesn't beat around the bush. He accuses Han directly of collaborating with Hu to take down his organization. Tae Hyun asks Han if he's surprised, but Han is caught completely off guard and doesn't know what to say. That's when Tae Hyun gives Park Pal-young the signal. Pal-young then walks past Han and decks Sung-chol clean in the face, knocking him down and shocking Han. As Sung-chol asks why, Pal-young steps on his cast, breaking it. Sung-chol cries out in pain. Then Han screams at Pal-young to stop. Pal-young questions Han for giving him orders. This gets Han to put up his dukes, Guile style. Tae Hyun commends him, saying that this will make him worth beating. Han swings a right for Pal-young's face, but Pal-young slips aside. It was just a feint, however. Han runs past Pal-young and heads for the roof exit, but as he opens the door, there stands Lee Se-won, halting his exit. As Se-won rears back for a right hand, Han quickly throws up a defense. Se-won's blow, however, still has a heavy impact, and Han is knocked to the floor, his nose now bloody. As Lee Se-won steps through the door, before he can even gather his thoughts, Se-won slams a fist into Han's stomach, knocking the wind out of him. If you've ever been hit there, you know what it feels like. Taking a breath is damn near impossible, and to make it even harder, Se-won pours in some blows to the same spot, as Tae Hyun stands by watching. Park Han is in a jam. Cho Hyun-sung has taken So Ye-ran to the incineration plant. Hyun-sung thinks he has an opportunity. He reaches for the front of his pants before someone interrupts. We then see rank 3 of the royal bodyguards, Bong Jung-yo. Hyun-sung complains that he's ruining his fun. Jung-yo curses Hung-sun out, referring to him as a despicable motherfucker, and telling him he can do that when they're done. Or rather done. I don't know what the hell that was. Hyun-sung then binds Ye-ran's hands and mouth. While they are accepting of this scumbag behavior, it seems at least some of these men won't participate in it. Not that that makes them any better. Over at the inspector's office, Park Han-sol tells Inspector Park Kwang-min that Kang-hoo is about to be jumped, and unfortunately, this is when Han-sol finds out that Hoo is dead. He tells her that she's talking about Hyuk. That also reminds his partner, whose name we still haven't been given, that he saw the student in question before. He recalls seeing Kang-hoo come into the office to give a statement when Jong-hoo died. This is when Kwang-min seems to put 2 and 2 together to realize that Hyuk has been going undercover as his brother. What did you think he was doing in a school uniform when you knew he was expelled? You didn't inspect. At 6:10 p.m., all the regular members of the circle have gathered in the park. But none of the royals have shown up, they notice. It seems they may not know that most of them are in the hospital. But either way, they seem plenty eager to get things started. Thinking it'll be the same as last year, Tae Hyun has gathered a good number of scumbags under his rule. Someone has been charged with standing guard over Ye-ran, and has been ordered not to touch her until they find Han-sol. As he hangs up the phone, he teases the first-year students under his management, telling them they can touch up the girl if they don't tell. They look surprised and interested, but he retracts the offer, saying they would definitely tell Tae Hyun. This is rank 4 of the royals, Hang Yu-young. Park Kwang-min tells Han-sol that he understands what she's saying and tells her to go home. She seems hesitant. At around 6:30 p.m., Kim Jong-il is out making deliveries when he spots someone he seems to know named Sung Min-soo, someone from a different area. Jong-il asks him why he's hanging around there and not in his own area where he belongs. Someone standing with him looks scared to see Jong-il. I know why. Min-soo says that he's just meeting with some girls from Taesan High. Jong-il accepts the answer and moves on. But then he notices a number of students in the area that shouldn't be. This sets off an alarm. He calls up Tae Hyun to tell him the situation and advises him to call Ye-ran. Tae Hyun calls Ye-ran's phone, but it just vibrates inside of her desk. He hangs up and calls Park Han-sol. She's still with the detective as she takes the call. As she picks up, Tae Hyun asks her why Ye-ran isn't answering her phone. She's surprised, but also knows what that means. She tells him to come get her at the police station. In the meantime, Tae Hyun calls Kim Jong-il to ask him if he's still near Taesan High. Jong-il says he's close enough, and Tae Hyun tells him to look around the area for something suspicious, and then tells him he's going to pick up Han-sol, referring to her as the sister-in-law. Jong-il hurries off on his scooter in the pouring rain. We move on to Kang Hyuk approaching the park. Ko Tae-hoon and Jong Il-han are beside him. Il-han tells him that Hyun-sung and Se-woon will turn against him later. He isn't surprised, obviously, but it shows that they really are on his side at this point. Hyuk asks Tae-hoon why he's so quiet, catching him off guard. He has no real answer. It's now 7 p.m. Lee Tae-hyun arrives with Park Pal-young and Do Jung-hoon. Tae-hyun tells Tae-hoon and Il-han to come here, and Hyuk tells them to go, and that he knows it's not up to them. Tae-hyun praises Dokgo on his cool demeanor. Tae-hyun tells Hyuk that no one will be coming to help him, that Se-won and Hyun-sung are not on his side. Hyuk says he had a feeling, not giving it away, that he's been told by 2 people already. Just then, Tae-hyun calls Gil-young and tells him to send a photo. He then tells the student to go show Hyun the picture on the phone. It's Ye-ran, tied up on the floor. Tae-hyun taunts Hyuk and tells him that once he starts throwing punches, he'll have Ye-ran assaulted. This sets off Hyuk, calls him a coward, and questions his motives for such actions. Tae-hyun continues to taunt Hyuk as he brushes off the man's desire to fight, asking Hyuk if he really thought that he would fight him fair and square, stating that there's no fun in that, and there's his reason for such actions. He asks Hyuk if it wouldn't be worth it to let Ye-ran get touched a bit, just to have a go at him, teasing Hyuk as he says that he'll fight, but he won't do anything dirty, topping it off by calling him moron. Hyuk is clearly furious, but there's nothing he can do. Not as long as he has a sense of morality and decency. As Han-sol leaves the police station, she wonders what's taking Tae-jin so long. But then she suddenly gets a call from someone telling her that Kang-hoo is here, dead. Lee Tae-hyun calls Ko Tae-hoon, asking him if he remembers when he said he was going to have Tae-hoon do something. Tae-hoon tries to play coy, saying that he remembers, and that he bought Kang-hoo here, as if that were the task. But Tae-hoon tells him that's not what he meant, and Tae-hoon is not the name I meant to use. Tae-hyun tells Tae-hoon that's not what he meant. He tells Tae-hoon to go stand in front of Hyuk with his legs open. Tae-hoon already knows what this is about. It's the same thing he made Kang-hoo do a year ago, when Tae-hoon was a first year. Tae-hyun then tells Hyuk to crawl between Tae-hoon's legs, while saying, "Second year, sir, Ko Tae-hoon," saying that he might even let him off easy if he does it. And to egg him on, he tells him that his brother did a great job last year. Hyuk stares with rage, but as Tae-hyun begins to make the call, he suddenly shouts, "Second year, sir, Ko Tae-hoon." Tae-hyun expresses his pleasure as he taunts Hyuk, asking him if he thought revenge would be as simple as he thought, telling him that losers will always be losers. As this is going on, Han-sol is seen running into an alley and into a trap. As she turns around to hear Min-soo saying he should have done this earlier. He tells her that Tae-hyun wants him to bring her to him. She pulls a weapon, what appears to be a hairpin. Min-soo tells the girls to go over and get her. Han-sol warns them to back up, but they think they can handle her with the numbers advantage. Wrong! The first girl is knocked out with a single strike to the head, and Han Sol moves into the second, jabbing her in the side with a pin, taking her out of the fight. What the hell is that thing made of? Well, before we can find out, she rushes in and kicks the third girl in the side, knocking her off balance. Then Han Sol grabs her by the hair and puts her to sleep. Min-soo praises her and says she really is the number one girl that Tae's on high. But since she's still a woman and he's the head of his school, it's not like he has a reason to be afraid. He rushes in and throws a punch, and she aims the point of her pin at his knuckles. However, he opens his hand at the last minute and slips past her weapon to grab her by the wrist. Once he's got a grip on her, he drives a blow into her side, causing her to drop. As she falls to her knees, Min-soo kicks her over and steps on her head. Then he calls Tae Hyun. As we see Hyuk, surrounded and kneeling, Tae Hyun asks the time. 7:10 is what Park Pal-young tells him. Tae Hyun then tells Min-soo over the phone that if he doesn't hear anything by 7:30, to do what he wants with Han Sol, but to make sure he sends a photo first. Jung-hoon asks what's up, and Tae Hyun tells him that Min-soo just caught Han Sol. Hyuk is stunned. He had no idea that Han Sol was even on their radar. Tae Hyun says that things just got more interesting. When he receives the photo, Tae Hyun immediately shows Hyuk the image of Han Sol on the right, Min-soo's foot placed on her head. Tae Hyun says they'll take things up a notch. He tells Hyuk that if he crawls in between Tae Hyun's legs, he'll save Ye-ran. But if he wants to save Han Sol, then he has to fight Tae Hyun instead. Tae Hyun is caught off guard. He doesn't want either outcome, especially not the fight. He tells Hyuk he has until 7:30 to decide. Hyuk's fury grows, but to no avail. Tae Hyun then tells him that if he raises a fist in resistance, he'll have them both done in. And finally, he gives Hyuk one more choice. If he yells out, Kang Dong-chul is a disgrace, and Mom is a whore 100 times, then he'll be let go. Hyuk screams in furious aggravation. Tae Hyun teases him as everyone looks on. As Hyuk begins to curse at him, Tae Hyun cuts him off with an order to Pal-young, telling him to call Gil-young and Min-soo as soon as he hears one curse out of Hyuk's mouth. Hyuk punches the ground and screams in frustration once again. Tae Hyun taunts him about how he's forgotten to act like his shoulder is still hurting, also telling him that he only has 17 minutes left to decide, and 2 minutes left until he starts getting beat. Out on the street, Tae-jin notices guys from Min-soo's school walking around. Like Jong-il, he finds their presence suspicious. When he doesn't see Han Sol at the police station, he gives her a call. Min-soo has her phone, but she tells him that it's her dad, and he has a close friend who's a cop. She tells Min-soo that he may call his friend if she doesn't take the call. He falls for it. While she answers the phone, Min-soo threatens her with a quiet slice across his neck. You know, that I'm gonna kill you gesture. Meanwhile, she refers to Tae-jin as dad and says that she's at the station, or that she was at the station a minute ago, rather. Tae-jin figures out from the fact that she called him dad that she's been caught by Min-soo's gang. He tells her that he saw them in the area, so she doesn't need to say where she is. Just confirm. She says that she's hanging out with some friends from Min-soo's group, and she'll be home later tonight. Min-soo is too dense to figure out that she just said his name. She asks what they're going to do with her, and Min-soo says that they should just strip her naked and take some photos. A henchman then says they can sell the pics for 500 won to the kids. They're small timers, and Min-soo is too, because he agrees. I guess that's why he's following Lee Tae-hyun's orders. Jong-il, he wouldn't. Jung-rae, he didn't. Just then, the sound of a bike pulling up and coming to a stop can be heard. This grabs Min-soo's attention. A look of surprise comes to his face as he sees who the new arrival is. Pyo Tae-jin. It's never a good thing when he shows up in a situation like this. Not for the culprit, at least. As Pyo Tae-jin arrives in the nick of time, Min-soo looks a bit uneasy. As he looks over at Park Han-sol, Tae-jin tells Min-soo that she looks like his type and says that he'll be taking her. Tae-jin is completely unfazed by the numbers as Min-soo tries to play the numbers game, asking Tae-jin if he doesn't see everyone there. He calmly walks by them to approach Han-sol after saying he doesn't. He then praises Han-sol for her composed demeanor as he offers her a hand. She tells him not to bullshit her, a typical Han-sol response as we come to see at this point. But isn't that why we love her? Or is that just me? Just me? Yeah, I guess it's just me. Min-soo tells his men to attack Tae-jin. They move in with hesitation. They must know who he is. Tae-jin warns them, telling Min-soo that his boys are going to get hurt. Min-soo says that Tae-jin will die. Tae-jin then tells Han-sol, "Let's go." And the first fool attempts to punch Tae-jin. His fist is caught, and in one move, Tae-jin dislocates his wrist. Using only one hand, I would have left him alone after that. But these guys aren't that smart. They try to rush in once the initial shock wears off. Tae-jin begins to lay waste to the crowd, his hits knocking down foes in only one strike. Multiple people attacking in a small alley. This is the specialty of Jang Pung-yo, Tae-jin. It's now 7:15 over at the park. Tae Hyun commands the first years to hit Hyuk 10 times each. Naturally, they obey without question, enthusiastic to get their licks in. After the first few guys take turns, Tae Hyun commands them all to stomp him out at once. Hyuk is battered, tired, and bloody. And of course, Tae Hyun takes a moment to mock Hyuk. He tells Hyuk that at the rate he's going, both girls are going to be taken care of. Hyuk calls him a coward. Tae Hyun says if that's how he feels, he should just hit Po Tae Hyun, or even hit Tae Hyun himself. But he knows what'll happen if he does. Tae Hyun taunts Hyuk about all his plans falling apart after all the effort he put into them, and mocks the idea that Hyuk thought he could beat him one-on-one. He grabs Hyuk by the hair and tells him flat, "We're on different levels." Tae Hyun continues to mock Hyuk, saying that he doesn't understand why poor people have kids when they're just going to grow up and be losers like their parents. He tells Hyuk all he can do is stare. Tae Hyun is secure in his position, as he continues on talking about how the average person spends their days and how much he looks down on them. This sentiment isn't unique to Tae Hyun. After he finishes his incessant jabber, Tae Hyun orders the second years to hit Hyuk 10 times each. None of the second-year royals are present, for obvious reasons. Tae-jin has cleaned up the alleyway. The only one left is Min-soo. Tae-jin tells Min-soo to come at him. Min-soo tells him he'll regret it. Tae-jin ends up throwing the first punch. As he does, Min-soo dodges and grabs Tae-jin, tossing him over his shoulder after catching Tae-jin totally off guard. Min-soo says he's a third-degree black belt in judo. Tae-jin isn't really fazed. He asks Han-sol where she thinks Ye-ran is at. She says she's either in the gym or the incineration plant. Tae-jin tosses Han-sol his phone and tells her to call the number marked Chicken Shuttle, which is Jong-il, and then tell him where Ye-ran might be, while he takes care of Min-soo. Min-soo asks Tae-jin if he really thinks he can take him. Min-soo charges in first this time, but he's stopped in place by Tae-jin, as Tae-jin grabs Min-soo's belt and hoists him into the air. A demonic look emerges upon his face. He turns Min-soo sideways, throwing off his balance and taking him off his feet. Then, slams him into the ground. Min-soo has retired. If he isn't, in fact, just outright dead. Tae-jin turns to Han-sol and asks if she's called Jong-il. She asks if he can't see that she's calling him now. Tae-jin remarks, "That's some attitude." Well, that's probably why you have her listed as Miss Bitch in your phone. Jong-il is on his scooter when he gets the call telling him to go to the gym or the incineration plant. Before he can respond, she yells at him to hurry. The situation is pretty urgent, so it's not unreasonable. But, like Tae-jin, Jong-il also thinks that Han-sol has got some attitude. As Tae-jin looks around, he wonders what to do with all the people laying around. but Han Sol has already pulled up on a motorcycle. Tae Hyun is confused as she tells him to get on. Tae Hyun tries to tell her to ride on the back, but she says it'll be annoying to tell him which way to go, so shut up and get on. She also has biker goggles. Where the hell did she get those? Han Sol really is built different. Tae Hyun's pride seems to be taking a hit when he has to get on the back of the bike. She tells Tae Hyun to hold on tight, and before he can even realize what she was saying, she's already peeled off. He almost loses his balance. Han Sol yells at him, "I told you to hold on, you dumbass." She really didn't know this guy like that. Bitch is bold.
It's been a long ass day for no reason, so I'm tired, but I wanted to upload this anyway because I finished it. Simple as that. I considered just releasing the last two parts all together, but I figured I waited, I don't know, 3 years for Goku to fight Frieza, so I'm sure you'll be alright. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed.